Good morning, students. I hope you all are safe and sound at homes. So, today we will study about the Indian Constitution from your civics book. So, the chapter number 1 is entitled as the Indian Constitution. So, in this chapter, we are going to begin with football, a game many of you have probably heard of or even played. So, we are starting the chapter with a match of football. Okay, so most of you have already played this match, this game, and you also have heard about this game. So, as the name suggests, this is a game that involves the player's feet. So the football match should be played with the feet, not with the hands and other things. Okay, so football is supposed to be played with our feet. So according to the rules of football, if the ball touches the arm of any player except the goalkeeper, then this is considered a foul. So football is supposed to be played with the legs, and by mistake if the ball touches the hands or the arm of the other players, then it is considered as foul. So if players start holding the football in their hands and passing it around, then they are not playing football anymore. So, if the players start holding the ball and start passing and start throwing with their hands and all, then they are not playing football anymore. They will be playing any other games other than the football. So, similarly, other games such as hockey or cricket. So in these games also, like hockey is supposed to be played with hockey stick and cricket is supposed to be played with the cricket bat. Also have rules according to which they are played. So all the games have certain kinds of rules and guidelines. So each of these rules helps define the game and helps us distinguish one game from another. So it is the rules that helps us to distinguish the game from other games. As these are fundamental to the game, we can also call them the constitutive rules of the game. So, the rules is the fundamental, that is the basic, that is the fundamental thing of the game, that is the basic thing of the game. Without rules, we cannot play the game. Like these games, a society also has constitutive rules that make it what it is and differentiate it from other kinds of societies. In large societies in which different communities of people live together, these rules are formulated through consensus. And in modern countries, this consensus is usually available in written form. So, a written document in which we find such rules is called a constitution. Please remember. So, constitution is a written document. It is a written document in which the rules and the guidelines are given for the properly running of the society. It is known as the constitution. So, constitution is a written document in which the rules are given in order to lead a proper kind of life in the society. So we have looked at the Indian Constitution in classes 6 and 7 in our social and political life textbooks. Have you ever wondered why we need a constitution or been curious about how the constitution got written or who wrote it? In this chapter, we will discuss both these issues and also look at the key features of the Indian Constitution. Each of these features is crucial to the working of democracy in India, and some of these will be the focus of different chapters in this book as well. So in this chapter, basically what we will discuss is, we will discuss about when the constitution was written and who wrote the constitution. So the first fundamental question we have here in the chapter is, why does a country need a constitution? Okay, so today most countries in the world have a constitution. While all democratic countries are likely to have a constitution, it is not necessary that all countries that have a constitution are democratic. So this is very clear that today most of the countries are having the constitution, but all the democratic countries are supposed to have their constitution, but it is not necessary that all countries have constitution they are a democratic country. So the constitution serves several purposes. So why do we need to have a constitution in a country? So the first reason is given, because constitution serves the several purposes. The first purpose, what is the first purpose? For what we need constitution. So the first reason is, it lays out certain ideals that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens aspire to live in. Or put another way, our constitution tells us what the fundamental nature of our society is. So this is the reason why we need a constitution in the country, because we need it because it lays out certain ideals, that means certain guidelines, some certain rules that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens aspire to live in. This is the first reason. Please mark it and remember it. Okay, a country is usually made up of different communities of people who share certain beliefs but may not necessarily agree on all issues. A constitution helps serve as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country can agree upon as the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. This includes not only the type of government but also an agreement on certain ideals that they all believe the country should uphold. So, in a democratic nation or country, we see there are so many other people living with different beliefs, practices, and the culture. So, it is the constitution that binds everyone all together, because whatever principles, whatever set of rules are given in the constitution, everyone should obey and everyone must abide by the rules of the constitution and the guidelines of the constitution. Let us try and understand what we mean by this through two contrasting situations in the recent history of Nepal, a country that borders India on the north. Until recently, Nepal was a monarchy. Monarchy means the ruler, the king ruler, okay? The previous constitution of Nepal, which had been adopted in 1990, reflected the fact that the final authority rested with the king. Monarchy means a country where a king rules. A people's movement in Nepal fought for several decades to establish democracy, and in 2006 they finally succeeded in putting an end to the powers of the king. The people had to write a new constitution to establish Nepal as a democracy. The reason that they did not want to continue with the previous constitution is because it did not reflect the ideals of the country that they want Nepal to be and that they have fought for. Okay. So before the democratic nation, Nepal was ruled by the king. So the people opposed, they protested, and finally in 2006 they succeeded and they won and they tried and they established democracy. So they also revised their constitution. So they wrote a new constitution because in the previous constitution they did not find any ideals that they wanted to be, they wanted the country to be. As in the game of football, in which change in the constitutive rules will change the game altogether. Nepal, by moving from a monarchy to a democratic government, needs to change all its constitutive rules in order to usher in a new society. This is why the people of Nepal adopted a new constitution for the country in 2015. The caption alongside elaborates Nepal's struggle for democracy. So the second important purpose of a constitution is to define the nature of a country's political system. So why we need a constitution in the country? The second important purpose is the constitution defines the nature of a country's political system. For example, Nepal's earlier constitution stated that the country was to be ruled by the king and his council of ministers. In countries that have adopted a democratic form of government or polity, the constitution plays a crucial role in laying out certain important guidelines that govern decision making within these societies. In a democracy, we choose our leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. However, there is always the possibility that these leaders might misuse their authority, and the Constitution usually provides safeguards against this. This misuse of authority can result in gross injustice as demonstrated in the classroom situation below. So, before gaining the democratic system in Nepal, Nepal was ruled by the king and people did not have any choice. So, the people did not elect the king because by birth they were having the right to the throne. So now let us look at the classroom situation, how the misuse of powers can be done. So now Suresh is the class monitor. He is a bully. His classmates are not too fond of him. Mrs. Rao, the class teacher, has to leave the classroom on some urgent work. She asks Suresh to mind the class. Suresh starts picking on Anil. Anil, today I am going to report you to Mrs. Rao. Then Anil says, but what have I done? Now, when Mrs. Rao returns to the class, Anil says, Ma'am, while you were away, Anil kept talking loudly and disturbing the class. He would not listen to me. Then Anil says, then ma'am says, Anil, you will have to stay back after school today. And write, I will not disobey the class monitor 100 times. Then Anil says, but ma'am, did not do anything. So in this case, what we see? So the class monitor, namely Anil, he is misusing his power that is given to him by the class teacher. So in the similar way, if the constitution is not there, if the guidelines, a set of rules are not there, then the powers can be misused by the political leaders. In democratic societies, the constitution often lays down rules that guard against the misuse of authority by our political leaders. In the case of the Indian constitution, about which you will read more later in this chapter, many of these laws are contained in the section on fundamental rights. Do you recall the chapter on the Dalit writer Om Prakash Valmiki's experiences in school from your class 7th book? In this chapter, we talked about the discrimination Om Prakash faced because he was a Dalit. You read about how the Indian constitution guarantees the right to equality to all persons and says that no citizen can be discriminated against on grounds of religion, race, caste, gender and place of birth. The right to equality is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. So the constitution helps the citizens to live in a proper manner. So it also guarantees the right to equality and says that no citizen can be discriminated against on grounds of religion, races, caste, gender and place of birth. So everyone should have the right to equality. So it is one of the fundamental rights that is given by our Indian Constitution. Another important function that a constitution plays in a democracy is to ensure that a dominant group does not use its power against other less powerful people or groups. The storyboard below demonstrates one such situation in the classroom. So the game period is about to begin in the classroom situation. So let us play basketball today for a change. No, we will play cricket. Now, girls they are saying that they want to play basketball, but boys are saying that they want to play cricket. So, girls, we always have to do what the boys want because they are in a majority. Ma'am should think of another way to make decisions so that our wishes are also heard. So the teacher decides to settle the problem with a show of hands. Hey, hey, we have won, we have won. Obviously, there are more boys in the class. So in this case, the boys are in majority. That's why they overrule on girls and they won the debates or discussion. So, such unhealthy situations can occur in democratic societies too, where a majority can continuously enforce decisions that exclude minorities and go against their interests. As the above storyboard illustrates, every society is prone to this tyranny of the majority. The constitution usually contains rules that ensure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is routinely available to the majority. Another reason why we have a constitution is precisely to prevent this tyranny or domination by the majority of a minority. This can refer to one community dominating another, that is, inter-community domination, or members of one community dominating others within the same community, that is, intra-community domination. So, in this regard, we find that no majority group should rule or persecute the minorities. And the third significant reason why we need a constitution is to save us from ourselves. This may sound strange, but what is meant by this is that we might at times feel strongly about an issue that might go against our larger interests, and the Constitution helps us guard against this. Look at the storyboard below to understand this better. So, Shabnam is in a fix. She has a decision to make. I have two chapters left to revise for tomorrow's test, but it's time for my favorite TV program. I'm dying to watch it. But if I do that, I won't have time to finish my revision. Now, Shabnam, why are you looking so worried? I want to watch this TV program, but I have a test tomorrow. If you all watch TV, I will also want to watch. I have an idea. What if no one watches TV tonight? Then I may not be tempted. It's good thing I did not watch TV. There are so many questions from the last two chapters. So, in this regard, Shabnam has two choices, either to watch TV or to study or to have revision of the chapters for the test. So, the decision has to be made by ourselves. Similarly, the Constitution helps to protect us against certain decisions that we might take that could have an adverse effect on the larger principles that the country believes in. For example, it is possible that many people who live in a democracy might come to strongly feel that party politics has become so acrimonious that we need a strong dictator to set this right. Swept by this emotion, they may not realize that in the long run, dictatorial rule goes against all their interest. A good constitution does not allow these whims to change its basic structure. It does not allow for the easy overthrow of provisions that guarantee rights of citizens and protect their freedom. From the above discussion, you will understand that the Constitution plays a very important role in democratic societies.